Hello again. Victoria Pendragon, welcome to my alternate reality. I would like to speak. I almost said I would like to speak in tongues. I would like to speak about speaking in tongues. I am unlikely to speak in tongues at this moment. However, speaking in tongues is not, as some people might imagine, bullshit. It is something that happens when the brain hits a certain level. What part of the brain? I don't know. I've not looked into it. I don't know that scientists have looked into it. I wish they would, because that's where it comes from. That much I can tell. It's like the brain shifts gears. I began spontaneously speaking in tongues, actually, and this may be too much information, during sex, a long time ago, decades ago. I didn't know what it was all about. Rest assured, my husband had no idea. Although one day, one of my husbands actually spoke back to me. That was really something. Something happens in your brain. I don't know if you tap into something primordial or if it is merely at some level translating into something primordial, but it's a very distinct, very organic occurrence. Where it began to crop up for me most regularly was during my hands-on healing practice, when I found that after I got deep enough into a person's energy field, because I am an empath, and when I lay my hands on people, I'm in them. I'm in their energy. I feel what's happening in their body. And when I would get to that state, very often, I would just automatically shift into speaking in tongues. And at first, I was quite embarrassed because all I knew was that it happened during sex. And so I thought, what's going on? This is inappropriate. And after it began to happen so regularly, and I realized that it really didn't happen all that regularly during sex, though now it does, I relaxed into it a little more, and I got over my fear of having to explain myself to people, to explain what was going on, because it was a natural occurrence, because it was born of the experience, and whatever shift took place because of the experience. And again, we're shifting into a kind of high energetic gear, when both during sex and during healing processes. A healing process, by the way, can be far more intimate than a sexual encounter, depending on the level of intimacy involved. So anyway, I conquered my fear, my embarrassment at, essentially my embarrassment at being who I was. And I explained to people before the healing that it was likely that they might hear me saying some things that they wouldn't understand. Now, speaking in tongues can be faked, but you can tell. If you're used to speaking in tongues, you can tell. And B, it can be induced, which is to say, once you're used to it happening, once you're allowing it to happen, you can also allow yourself to get to that place without the stimulation that caused it in the first place. It's just mind control that allows you to get there. And then you can. I wanted to talk about it both because I think a lot of people think it's something fake, and it isn't. It's very, very, very organic. And I think very, how would you say it? Very much attached to the energetic personality of the person. Because I have heard certain charismatic preachers on television speak in tongues, they don't speak the same language I'm speaking, whatever that is. I did at one point have a gentleman who was interested in ancient Celtic tongues ask if I would record my speaking in tongues sometime. And I did. And he said that it had a lot in common with these ancient Celtic tongues that he was studying, though where he got that information, I don't know. But yes, and things come up for me. I recognize in my own language, I'll recognize certain combinations of vowel sounds and, for want of a better word, words that come up repeatedly when it's happening to me. And nowadays I just let it come up. When I do remote healing for people, it will happen. Now when I do yoga, if I get into a phase that activates Kundalini energy, then it comes up. And Kundalini energy is that very core, physical, sexual energy that powers the body. So there's relations with the deepest, strongest relation or root that speaking in tongues has is to the root chakra of the physical body. That's where it originates. And of course the balance for the root is going to be up in the brain. So they balance each other. It kind of generates low, comes out high. And I can't tell you that I know what it does or why it does what it does, but it's certainly an expression of energy. And I would have to imagine carries energy with it. I know when the charismatic preachers do it, it seems to gather the audience in, mesmerize them in a sense. So it may have some use along those lines. It is a phenomena I've grown to very much enjoy. It doesn't seem to last too long. I don't know why that is. And no, I'm not going to do it here because, because I do need to have some degree of control here. If I'm doing it here and the buzzer goes off, I'm going to get thrown and discombobulated. And I don't just want to get into it and then be going on for 2 or 3 minutes and have the video run out and there you are. So that is all I have to say on that subject. Mostly, it's real. And it involves attaining a state of complete relaxation is not quite the word I want to use. But certainly you have to relax in order to allow it. But you have to be able to allow your body to take over. That's it. You have to get to a state where the body's in charge and not your mind anymore. You can practice that. If I get any good tips, I'll come back and let you know. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your alternate reality. Bye.